Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Give me sight beyond sight.
Greetings, Starfighter. You are about to listen to the totally super awesome 80's Reboot Overdrive podcast. Always remember, no matter where you go, there you are. Ready, Player One.
I fear the wounds are fatal.
Prime, you can't die.
Do not grieve. Soon, I shall be one with the Matrix.
Prime.
Ultra Magnus. It is to you, old friend. I shall pass the matrix of leadership as it was passed to me.
But Prime, I'm just a soldier. I'm not worthy.
Nor was I. But one day, an Autobot shall rise from our ranks and use the power of the Matrix to light our darkest hour. Until that day, till all.
Hello, my name is Dave, and we are talking about 1986 movies today. So we've got a movie in 86 that brought us the catchphrase, Bueller, Bueller, Bueller. We also had The Need for Speed, which is Top Gun. We had This is Jack Burton and the Pork Chop Express, and I'm talking to anyone who's listening out there. Of course, I'm talking Big Trouble in Little China, Ducky and Pretty in Pink. We had Little Shop of Horrors, and let's not forget Johnny Five is Alive. On the show today, we have got Matt.
You've got the touch.
We got Nick.
You got the power.
And we got Tim.
I got nothing.
We got nothing. All right, so we're doing things a little differently for our listeners. In the past, with the previous years that we were doing for reviews, we would have IMDb up, and we'd go through the list of the various movies going from like number 1 through number 50 or whatever, and sometimes sorted by movie meter, sometimes sorted by the U.S. box office draw. But I think amongst ourselves, we realized that there was a lot of the movies that kind of meant something to us that we didn't get a chance to talk about. So we're taking a different swing at it this time. And each of us has brought to the table our picks of movies that we want to talk about. So what we're going to do is we're going to go kind of a round robin deal and talk about the movies that we wanted to bring up, and then hopefully we're still covering the biggies. If not, we can always bring those up at the end. We really don't have like a pecking order as far as deciding who's going to go first or not. So I'm just going to pick somebody out of the list here. And Tim, why don't you tell us your first pick for 1986?
Back to School, starring Rodney Dangerfield.
So why Back to School?
The other week we were talking about, whether Caddyshack was like a Bill Murray movie or was an ensemble movie, and I had the same kind of debate about Back to School with my brother. He loved Easy Money. I preferred Back to School. We used to endlessly debate that when we had all kinds of frivolous free time on our hands. But I just thought it was a darn near perfect comedy. It's like the funniest I've ever seen Rodney Dangerfield. Sam Kinison has a great small role in it. Ned Beatty is great as the just kind of like the clueless dean who just takes the big bribe and turns the other way, and then you get that awesome triple Lindy dive at the end, where Rodney does a dive between 3 different diving boards, wearing his old Popeye style swimsuit. Man, it's just, I don't know, it's a great movie. It's and Oingo Boingo's in it, for God's sake. I mean, come on.
And we also had the guy that was in Christine, Keith Gordon. He was Melon's son.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had not made that connection, but that's pretty sure.
Yeah, so not so evil as he was in Christine, but I remember the triple Lindy. That's that was very funny, especially when he gets up there and he kind of does his armpit check. Yeah.
Checks the wind, checks the pit. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, if you're gonna go the triple Lindy, you got to do it right.
And it was funny. We also used to debate what was more unrealistic: the fact that an overweight, middle-aged guy could pull off a dive like that, or a dude that looked like his son could get that girl that looked like the sorority girl he was after.
Well, I think that happened in a lot of 80s movies, though.
Yeah.
And we can't forget everyone's favorite Cobra Kai, William Zabka, as Chaz.
Yeah, he had the perfect roles for being just the complete jerk during every 80s movie. And he did it well. All right, so Nick, what about you? What's your movie?
See, the thing is, I've got a little bit of an age gap on you guys, and when it comes to things like, 80s movies that I have a deep, wonderful memory of, I think we already talked about it. Did we go over, no, we didn't go over, did you go over Labyrinth last week?
No, this is 1986, so Labyrinth is 86, yeah.
Yep, so, and for the record, I'm still mad that I missed Caddyshack. I apologize. I can imagine that all last week it was just nothing but Caddyshack quotes, and as well it should have been.
There was a lot of discussion around whether to classify it as a Chevy Chase movie or just an ensemble movie.
I late to the party, but I have to go ensemble. It just the number of actors in it: Ted Knight, Chevy Chase, Bill Murray. It all worked. Anyway, back to Labyrinth. That was definitely one of my movies. My growing up, my formative creative years. So, I mean, even now, you talk to anyone of my age bracket who grew up in the 80s and just say, you remind me of the Babe, and they can just get the spiel started for you, so.
Who do? You do?
Yeah, I was going to say, come on, guys. Let's pick up the pace here. Come on. Everyone knows it now. Come on, you remind me of the Babe.
Who do? You do?
Damn it, no, you're missing it. You totally skipped a line. Forget it.
I can't remember it.
It's ruined my youth. It's what, Babe? Then they go, Babe with the power. Then you go, what power? And then they go, the power of voodoo. And then you go, you do. Or hoodoo, and then you do. Forget it.
You go,
I
Nick.
quit.
You go, Nick.
I quit. I can't do this anymore.
As we bring Nick to tears.
You've ruined the 80s for me, guys.
Because we didn't know the quotes from Labyrinth.
Damn straight.
See, now he is going to go to another show. All right.
But in all seriousness, I just loved the look of it. I've always been a huge Jim Henson fan. Obviously, I started with the Muppets before I started with Labyrinth, but you could definitely, it's just got that look about it, that feel about it. It's all practical effects, and it just, even now, if it's on, I could watch in the middle of a house fire. The house could be burning down around me, and I'd just be like, I got a few minutes.
All right, so Matt, what do you have for us?
One of my favorite movies from 1986 is probably a little bit darker than those first two. It's The Fly.
Ooh,
Jeff Goldblum.
Nice.
That is such a classic remake, and kind of tells you how well to do a remake instead of just copying the previous movie, turning it into something new and different. Plus, it had those creepy makeup effects. Just gives you nightmares.
Now, was that Cronenberg's sort of breakout piece?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, he's already been working in movies for close to 20 years before The Fly came out.
But I mean, like mainstream recognition wise, because obviously, yeah, he did stuff like Videodrome and all that. But
it was probably, I'd have to look it up, but I'm sure it's his most successful movie.
Oh, okay, yeah, oh, definitely, yeah.
I guess it's my pick then, and you guys are probably going to really groan at this one, but hear me out.
Say it.
Howard the Duck. Yeah, see, I knew that was going to happen with Matt.
Damn it. Dave, why?
But listen to me. Hear me out on this one. And the reason why is there's really two connections here to the podcast.
Okay.
The first one is a while ago, long before, or right around Christmas, maybe a little bit earlier, through Facebook, I connected with Ed Gale. And Ed Gale is the guy that who's in the duck suit of Howard the Duck.
Oh, neat.
And I had connected with him on Facebook. Of course, I asked him to be on the show to do an interview. He was too busy or hadn't got around to it. But he became a Facebook friend. So every so often, he'll hit like on one of my posts. And also, I noticed around Christmas time, he had posted something around the fact that him and his life partner had too many Christmas cards. So like the first 50 or so Facebook friends that, sent him a private message would get a Christmas card from him. So I got a Christmas card from Ed Gale, who had played Howard the Duck and also Chucky from Child's Play.
Nice.
Now fast forward to today, there was one of our podcast links about John Hughes. I found a picture of Amanda Jones from Some Kind of Wonderful, and I tweeted it to Leah Thompson. She retweeted the link to the John Hughes podcast from 80's Reboot. So, of course, I'd followed that up with a tweet about, doing an interview on the show. She hasn't responded yet, but nonetheless, I've had, interactions in some small form with Leah Thompson and Ed Gale. So because of this podcast, I feel kind of connected to Howard the Duck for some reason. So
basically, you're admitting to bias on your part.
I'm totally being biased because of this, but
is this just name dropping?
Well, no, but it's just a cheesily wonderful movie. I liked Leah Thompson's character, obviously, in that. I think it was Beverly.
Yep, Beverly Switzer.
See, look at that. You know a lot about it. And then that really cheesy song at the end of the movie. Now, I'm not saying that it's probably, a riveting sci-fi movie, but for what it is, if you go in about a talking duck and you don't expect a lot as far as, like a plot line, it'll be okay. So just enjoy the cheese.
Well, we're all nerds here. Who has read the original Steve Gerber comics from the 70s?
I had a few of those, like one where he had become, he had gotten bitten by a vampire. Mm-hmm. I remember that one.
I mean, those were always pretty surreal, and the movie to me I'm going to be that guy, compared to the comics, just felt so very, very 80s.
It wasn't. There is no comparison between the comic and the movie. I just completely missed it.
But no, Dave, you love your Howard the Duck. You embrace that. You just you go with that.
Yeah, the jokes were very flat in that movie.
Yeah.
It just kind of droned on, just existed.
Oh, wow. Tim, don't say you're going to be bashing Howard also, are you?
No, I'm not going to bash it. I mean, I probably saw it once back then, and I really don't remember too much about it other than it just being savaged. And didn't George Lucas take a beating over it?
Yep.
And weren't they talking recently about a sequel or a remake or something?
Well, you guys saw Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Yep. Howard was at the end of that one.
Yep. So there was a positive response to that, so yeah.
Well, I know Marvel had also did a What the Duck, and it was like I guess DC at one time had something that was like a covers that said WTF. So they did What WTD, What the Duck, and then they just redid Howard in different covers of their different comic books. So a lot of love for Howard, even though obviously not on this podcast.
I will say that
the movie, not for the movie.
No.
Like the comic, not the movie.
one little thing I know, I gotta throw this out there, is that the rock band Kiss made its first comic book appearance in a Howard the Duck comic in the 70s.
Oh, did it? Wow.
I'd believe that.
We are going to go around again with our next round of picks. Tim, you're up.
All right. Remember the movie FX?
Oh, yes.
Brian Dennehy is the cop. You know, the special effects guy gets hired to fake an assassination of a mob informant, and something goes wrong, and it turns into a pretty cool, tense thriller. It wasn't really a by-the-numbers movie. There was a lot of good gotchas in it, some clever plot twists. The way, I think his character's name was Raleigh, the way he basically took out a bunch of bad cops using special effects techniques at the end and managed to zing all the bad guys. A couple cool fight scenes, some like really gripping hand-to-hand combat stuff, little dry humor. I not too many people seem to talk about this one, but this was definitely a favorite of mine. I thought it was a good quality thriller. What do you guys think? Any recollections?
I do remember seeing it at one time, and I had remembered the part where it was like a special effects expert that was helping cops, but I don't recall much of it after that.
I mean, it's embarrassing to say, but I saw the sequel before I saw any of the original, so the Deadly Art of Illusion, which, I mean, the only thing I can really remember about the second movie is that's a pretty awesome subtitle.
Electric Boogaloo.
Infinitely better than Electric Boogaloo, yes.
Also, a very cool car chase in that too, and the part where the girlfriend gets whacked. I mean, you know it's coming, but it still kind of jolts you. Very well done.
Second pick for Matt.
My second pick is probably an obvious one, and I'm sure it's on somebody else's list, but it's got to be Aliens. I remember seeing this movie and just being blown away. And in fact, I saw The Fly and the Aliens in a double feature. So I first saw The Fly and just covering up my eyes constantly during The Fly. And then to go to Aliens and see all the monsters getting blown away. It was a nice double combo, to be sure. Yeah.
You remember how old you were when you saw that double feature?
Must have been 13.
Yeah, I bet you that was some good dreams that night.
Yeah.
Wait, so you saw it at a literal double feature?
Yeah, it was a double feature.
Wow, that's awesome theater.
Aliens.
I wish my theater did that.
And then, Bill Paxton in that one. He was classic in that.
Yep, Private Hudson gave us some classic Paxtonian lines. It's a bug hunt, man, a bug hunt. Game over, man.
Nick, what's your next pick?
Let's see. I'm just trying to think about, stuff that I would have liked as a kid in '86. And I mean, I gotta admit, a few of these I probably saw later than '86 due to, ratings, but you got Stand By Me. Especially when I got to be the age of the kids in the movie, that sort of resonated with me.
Did you like? Who's your favorite in that one?
It's not exactly not exactly proud to admit this, but I was probably closer to Vern than I was to Chris. I was more Jerry O'Connell than River Phoenix growing up, so probably him.
So no love for Gordy?
Oh, but everyone loves Gordy. I mean, Will Wheaton's geek chic now. But, and the less said about Wesley Crusher, the better. But you know what I'm saying.
So then the only other one we didn't bring up is Teddy. Yeah.
Good old Corey Feldman, another ubiquitous '80s fixture. But Kiefer Sutherland, I remember being pretty freaked out by him, Ace, in the movie. He was just crazy. Yeah, he was older then, but yeah, I've never read the Stephen King short story, so I don't know. Anyone can tell me. I think the story obviously was a little darker, it being Stephen King and all.
No, I have not read it.
Anyone else?
Nope.
No, I haven't read it.
But yeah, I mean, just a very nice coming of age movie, you know.
Yeah, it's a very cool movie. I mean, I know I've seen it more than once. The part where he's telling the story with the pie eating contest.
Yep. Because I think, you know, I can't speak for all of you guys, but there was always kind of a secret desire to either eat at a pie eating contest or just generally make people puke when you're a kid. Either is just as enjoyable.
I don't know if I had a desire to make people puke, so a pie eating contest probably would have been up my alley, though.
I think your friends weren't as sadistic as my friends were then, so...
All right, so my next pick, and you guys are going to think that I'm just picking the dumb comedies.
No.
But Three Amigos.
Oh, that's a good pick. Oh.
So Lucky Day, Dusty Bottoms, and Ned Nederlander. The reason why this one resonates so much with me is, other than the movie just being what I thought was pretty hilarious, and when I was a senior in high school, we did, I was in the school play, and it was in Romeo and Juliet. I played Benvolio, and we had Mercutio, Benvolio, and Romeo kind of as the three that would always be hanging around together. And there's a scene where somebody says, "Oh, there is a Montague," and at that point at the final performance, the three of us standing together decide to do the Migo salute. So that's how the Three Amigos tied into my senior year performance of Romeo and Juliet.
And I have to ask the audience reaction. What was
I mean, we got to laugh, of course. You know,
what was the director's reaction? That's the big thing.
The English teacher that did the production, I think she was just happy that was our final production. So she's glad that we waited. There was the one that we had done a performance for the town at like the local community hall, and we were all very serious about that because our parents and everything were there. But and we did two performances for the actual school itself, just in the school auditorium. So this was the one just at the school for our classmates. So it's not like we really chose, the inopportune time to do it. Not like we were, having some sort of casting director there trying to find us or something.
And you weren't in front of your parents.
So. Exactly. So we're a little more brave just with our, fellow classmates. But yeah, Three Amigos salute at Romeo and Juliet was a great moment for me in high school.
Anybody film that on beta? Still got a copy?
No, it's not out there. Sorry.
Oh, shoot. You should have posted that to YouTube if it was. I would have totally watched it.
But yeah, other than that, I like the scene in the movie itself where he's talking about, or they're talking about the infamous El Guapo.
Yep.
And then they're confusing about what the word infamous means. Oh, he's not just famous, he's infamous. Or infamous. So,
and
go ahead.
Oh, no, continue.
And then of course, the scene where they're doing the Buttercup dance. My Little Buttercup.
And everyone just terrified.
And then they start going around, and then everybody's singing the lines because they think they're, the Germans or whatever they were.
Wow. I mean, personally, with me, I'm trying to think. The toss-up scene was either the Invisible Swordsman or El Guapo's birthday. It's a sweater!
Oh, we raped and pillaged.
We got you a little something.
Oh, good stuff. All right, so next pick for Tim.
Trick or Treat. Anyone remember that? With Skippy from Family Ties doing battle with an undead heavy metal musician?
Ozzy Osbourne, isn't it?
No, Ozzy plays the televangelist.
Evangelist, yeah. That's right.
Gene Simmons has a cameo as a kind of a Wolfman Jack-like radio DJ.
Well,
Basically,
see, now I need to see this movie.
Basically, the rock star dies unexpectedly, and his number one fan is heartbroken and gets a copy of the guy's as yet unreleased final album and discovers a backward message on it.
Yeah. He loves that movie. That is a fun movie.
He comes back to life to help the Jonathan Pryce character, Skippy's character, do battle with his bullies, and it gradually escalates, and then it ends up with a big scene at the school dance where he reappears and shooting lightning bolts out of his guitar and killing people. It's just awesome.
You mean Mark Price?
I'm sorry, what did I say? Jonathan Pryce?
Because I was going to say, if Jonathan Price was in it, that would just make it even better, but yeah.
Yeah, no. Nope, Mark Price, sorry, yeah. But cool music on the soundtrack from an old 80s band called Fastway. And, yeah, Ozzy Osbourne and Gene Simmons is basically cameos, but if you haven't seen it, look it up.
Now I need to see this movie. That's, wow.
It sounds pretty dark for Skippy.
Is that movie even on DVD?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Wow, I would have thought that was like one of those movies that just got relegated to VHS forever, but cool.
Nope, you can find it probably for a steep price of maybe $5 somewhere in a bargain bin.
Oh, too much for me, sorry.
All right, so Matt.
Let's see. Do I go with cheesy or do I go with really cheesy?
Oh, go really cheesy, come on.
Because either
really
way,
cheesy. Really cheesy. I gotta talk about Transformers the movie.
Yes.
So he goes cartoon movies.
I was gonna say, if you didn't bring it up, I would have.
This movie is just an oddity in itself. It has a horrible soundtrack.
No. Boy, if I could reach through the speakers and slap you right now, I would.
Yeah, I'll join you on that, Nick.
I was going to say, are you denigrating The Touch?
Oh, come on. The final scene is they start playing that song while destroying whatever that thing was, Ultron or...
Unicron.
You
bring it up, you get it right, damn it. Denigrate the song, you don't know Unicron's name. You don't deserve to talk about Transformers.
The final movie of Orson Welles.
I know. That's got to be... Orson Welles had a long and storied and controversial career, and he ended it by playing a giant robot. I guess
Not
like one of his
robot, a planet-sized robot.
A planet-eating robot.
Yeah, a planet-eating robot.
I don't know if you guys know this. This is just a factoid I picked up a total random. But, for many years, Marvel had the Transformers license for their comics. And what Marvel used to do is they would integrate whatever license they had at the time into the mainstream Marvel universe. So you would have these just rando crossovers between, I don't know, the Avengers and all of a sudden Transformers. And according to one issue, Unicron was just an alternate universe like extension of Galactus. And that's why he is the planet eater. So he's just another aspect, or at least when they were part of the comics, he was just another aspect of Galactus. I thought that was kind of weird.
Stan Bush just milked that song for all it's worth.
Hey man, that's a great soundtrack.
Yeah, don't. Just quit while you're ahead, son.
Has a great Weird Al song on there.
It does. Weird Al closes it out. Lion is on it. Spectre General, which is another old 80s metal band, used to be called Kick Axe, which is one of the best names of all time. And I actually have an autographed copy of that soundtrack. The band Energy that sang Instruments of Destruction, I got their singer to autograph my copy of it.
In a very nerdy way, that's pretty awesome. And
but nobody thought it was jarring when the big dramatic scene where Hot Rod turns into Rodimus Prime and suddenly this pop song comes on.
Well, it was
no
the
more
80s,
jarring,
man.
no Yeah, I was gonna say it's the 80s, dude. That happened every Tuesday. That happened in real life. You leave the house to go to work, and a pop song would come on.
Or a montage. I mean, one of the
Yeah,
two.
montage or a pop song,
montage.
exactly.
Some of the best lines of 80s moviedom. One shall stand, one shall fall, till all are one. What else? What's another good line from that movie?
The one where the robot swears. That's also the name of the chapter on the DVD.
Oh no, that was Daniel. Yeah, just the one swear ever in the animated Transformers movie. Oh shit. Are we allowed to say that on this? I forgot.
Well, they did kill Optimus Prime in it. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and just as by the way, when they were doing a G.I. Joe movie around the same time, which ended up becoming direct to video, they were originally going to kill off Duke, and the extremely negative reaction to Optimus dying led them to sort of retcon that.
Well, they brought him back a year later, so it didn't really matter.
Something I'll never forget is we actually watched that again in college. I got the DVD, hadn't seen it in years. I was like a kid in a candy store watching it at home, and then I brought it back to school, and we all gathered in a friend's room to watch it, and even then, big, huge, tough guy I knew had to like turn his head when Optimus died.
It is.
It's like some
it
child
is sad
right there, man.
It is sad. I mean, that's the thing. That part has a great sound to it. It has a nice little symphony, probably a synthesizer, but whatever.
Yeah.
Has a great soundtrack to that part. But then you turn in the end of the movie, that song is just awful. I can't stand it.
No.
It doesn't match the rest of the movie at all.
Yeah, well, okay, but let's be fair, neither does Dare to Be Stupid when you get down to brass tacks. Yes, it was the Junkyards. Yes, they were raised on TV, but just out of nowhere, Weird Al.
Yeah. I agree.
And I mean, well, let's also be reasonable here. So it had a really great and surprisingly famous, diverse voice cast, like cameo cast. Robert Stack as Ultra Magnus. Leonard Nimoy, Judd Hirsch as Hot Rod / Rodimus Prime, which even as a kid I never got that name, Rodimus Prime. It's like you just don't even try, are you? And Leonard Nimoy as Galvatron.
And Rodimus Prime is the flames on the.
Yeah, he turns from the hot rod into like sort of the giant sort of, what would you call it? Like
a hot rod truck. I don't know.
It's like just this big boxy thing. And then they brought Optimus back a year later, and he became superfluous again. So,
I always thought it was funny that everybody just started following him for no apparent reason.
Well, he had the Matrix
he's been screwing up the entire movie. Suddenly, let's follow him now.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was no real arc there, because even up until he got the Matrix of Leadership, he was still kind of screwing up. Okay, who here remembers the universal greeting?
Shazbot?
Try harder.
I don't remember.
Ba weep, ba now weep, Nini Baum.
Oh, yeah.
That's how they made peace with the Junkions.
I did.
I thought that was a line from Labyrinth, Nick.
No, that's Yub Nub.
No, that's Ewoks.
But I did have the Transformers on VHS as a kid, and I watched it religiously. So even though I'm knocking it, I did end up watching it probably like twice a week.
Now, as kids, aside from Optimus, what did you guys think about just randomly knocking off Transformers left and right? I mean, obviously now we know it was because they needed to replace the cast to sell more toys. In the show, the Decepticons couldn't kill a Transformer if they had a gun to their head, and all of a sudden, Megatron is just, like destroying guys left and right. What was that for you? What was that like for you?
I think it needed it, to be honest. There was just too many Transformers around. I couldn't even... It started to get confusing after a while. Killing them off was like a mercy killing.
They got Ironhide, dude.
Yeah, I got Ironhide. But it was about the same time as Transformers movie came out. I started watching Robotech, and that kind of...
okay. So then your tastes evolved, definitely.
Yeah.
So then, who hasn't done a third pick?
That would be me.
All right, Nick.
Let's see. I had a small list here. I mean, obviously, I didn't see stuff like Top Gun or, Platoon till later. But as a kid, I did watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Obviously, seminal, classic, kind of thing we all wish we could do in school.
Just take a day off and go enjoy the streets of Chicago?
Or just enjoy life in general. Just cut and... because I don't know about your parents, but whenever I said I was, quote-unquote, too sick to go to school, my mom made me own that. She's like, okay, fine, you're too sick, you stay in bed. You stay in bed, no TV, no nothing. And I learned to sleep.
So you were like more like Cameron then. You would just be like laying in bed and
I doubt she'll ever hear this because I had to explain to her what a podcast was the other night. But yeah, I mean the thing is, yeah, I'd stay in bed until she went to work, and yeah, I didn't really leave the house or do a whole lot, but I did enjoy my days off. But I had to wait till she left.
Okay.
What about you guys?
Love the movie. Principal Rooney, I think, just is over the top funny in that.
Mm-hmm.
I just love the scenes with him. Everything that
he's in Howard the Duck too.
Yeah, well, there you go. There's another connection, but I wasn't name dropping.
Jeffrey Jones. Yep, he's been in a lot of stuff.
But no, just just wonderful movie overall.
I think one of my favorite parts is when Cameron's imitating Sloane's dad on the phone.
Rudy, are you there?
Yeah, the voice that he does is awesome.
Come on, Sloane, it's time to go, dear. Here's a question though. Has your respect, like if you look at the movie, from when you guys were, younger to now, has your perspective changed on the characters and like, I don't know, Ferris in particular, because I know mine has.
Oh, Ferris is a jerk.
Yeah.
But when you first saw, to Nick's point, when you saw it earlier in life, did you kind of want to be like him? I guess no.
I mean, yeah, in a way, yeah, because it was cool. He rigged up all that stuff in his room. He got out, got the hot girl to go with him, drove his buddy's awesome car. I mean, of course, who wouldn't want to be like that? At least for a few fleeting moments.
But he's using everybody. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, when you're 15, you don't think like that.
This is a good point.
Mean, he ticks a lot of sociopath boxes. I don't know.
Yeah. He does. He just uses everybody to his own advantage and doesn't really pay him. I don't think he really pays them back at all.
Well, I mean, to his credit, he does offer to take the bullet for Cameron after Cameron destroys the car. Which,
yeah.
But
which is another great scene.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was. I mean, I think I sympathized, especially when I got to be like a proper teenager. I found myself sympathizing a lot more with Cameron than I did with Ferris.
That was just stupid to put the car in reverse and think that would take the mileage off.
Well, teenagers, what can you do? Even
though when I watched the movie, I knew that was stupid. I was 13 at the time. Like, that's not gonna work.
But yeah, and leave it with the parking attendants, and they just take it for a joyride.
Yeah,
which was also pretty stupid. I mean, that is a nice car. Oh, and I don't know if you guys know this, but Alan Ruck, who played Cameron, was actually 30, playing a teenager. And you go back and you look, and you can kind of tell.
Yeah, I did not realize he was that old, but I did know he was older.
Yeah, he was 30. And yeah, I mean, especially when you look with him next to Mia Sara, just definitely a little bit of odd casting there.
I do love Charlie Sheen's cameo in it, though. That is such a great scene.
And he reprised that this year on the Goldberg.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
That's why I feel like I got to give that show some more time.
I had a great joke to it. Oh, so you can go now. Feel like I've been here for 30 years.
Oh, that's all. Oh, that's all. Well, I was gonna say he sort of reprised that role in real life in the past few years too. So I always felt bad for Jeannie, especially when I got older. I always thought it was weird that she's so. Well, I mean, I get it that she feels that she doesn't need to, she can be her own person, but all of a sudden she's sort of stuck up for Ferris.
I just feel that she's one step away from just saying Marsha, Marsha, Marsha.
Yeah, kind of the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, you're right.
And then he gets another day off at the end. Yeah, his parents say he's too sick to go back to school. So
Save Ferris.
All right, Dave, what do you got?
All right, so going along with my comedy theme, I'm going Running Scared. So we got Billy Crystal, Gregory Hines as Chicago cops.
Mm-hmm.
And they decide they get forced to take a vacation. They go to Key West, and of course they decide that they want to stay there and buy a bar. And they're going to retire. And then they go back to Chicago, and of course the drug lord that they had captured had gotten out, and so they had to go through it all again to capture him again, and this time make it stick and all that kind of good stuff. And of course, the drama goes up, but the one-liners by Billy Crystal in this movie is what does it for me. He does a lot of this part where he's in the car and he's talking about there's this highfalutin lawyer, and oh, by the way, I'm watching the new Jeopardy program, and I'd like some more petite marshmallows in my hot chocolate. It's just hilarious. So do you guys remember this movie?
Yeah, no, that was a really cool. That was another one where it mixed up the elements, really well. Good thriller with good comedy. And this isn't really name-dropping, but I have to say I eat lunch in that building where they filmed that climactic scene quite often downtown.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, neat.
A great mugging scene. I love that mugging scene in that movie. You're mugging us?
Or, yeah, there's this guy, he's got a bunch of money, really cheesy lock. You just go up there, you probably just bust it wide open.
Yeah, I always wondered how much of that movie was ad-libbed.
When it comes to guys like Billy Crystal, you do have to wonder. Because I know a lot of his lines in City Slickers were ad-libbed.
Yeah, I would think that you'd go in with hiring a Billy Crystal and just knowing that, well, we'll keep the script kind of open. Yeah.
There are certain actors where they just have, like with Robin Williams, they just had scripts where it was like, Robin could go off here.
Right.
And how many Billy Crystal movies could be considered an action movie?
That is very true. Actually. I don't know, that scene in City Slickers when he's running from the bulls in Pamplona?
Yeah, I could probably do that, but...
Or Running Scared, he got shot.
Yeah, he got shot. And there's a big car chase scene in it, too.
Yep.
Monsters Incorporated is pretty exciting.
Monsters Incorporated. There you go.
All right, that's an action flick. You're right. All right, so does anybody have another movie that they've thought of?
Highlander.
Oh,
that was the movie that I was
debating on, and I was going to come back to you on that one. I was going to ask what was going through your brain as far as cheesy to very cheesy.
Yeah, Highlander.
About 50 too many sequels, but the original was pretty good.
There can be only one.
Yeah. Never has a line been more appropriate.
Except they made a mistake in casting a Frenchman to play a
Scotsman.
Yeah.
and a Scotsman to play an Egyptian.
Yeah.
And an American to play a man from the ancient Russian steppes.
But you liked it, didn't you? You all liked the movie, didn't you?
Yes.
Well, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But you listen to a man say, Juan Villalobos Sanchez Ramirez, and you just takes it out just a little bit.
I did pay money to go see the sequel in the theaters.
You did not.
I did.
Shit.
Did you ask for a refund?
No, I didn't ask for a refund.
Oh my god. But I mean, yeah, that was such a, when you really break it down, it is such sort of just, it's a unique and really just out there concept. And done surprisingly well. Of course, the Kurgan.
Hi, I'm Candy. Of course you are.
The Clancy Brown voice, that could just make anything sound, dark and evil.
I'd like a burger.
Yeah, but Highlander, by far, has the best soundtrack.
Oh, well, Queen. Queen makes anything better.
Yeah. I just love that opening tracking shot with him sitting in the auditorium during the wrestling match.
Mm-hmm.
No imprints of why he's there or anything. He just kind of zooms in on him and he's just looking all ticked off.
And I like how they didn't explain the concept of it right away either. It was sort of just like the slow burn because, yeah, at the beginning he's at the match and then the guy confronts him in the garage and they just pull out swords.
Yep.
Just like with no context and you're like, what the hell? Then,
yeah, exactly.
Then you're like, oh, okay, cool. All right.
And all this lightning and
yeah. And then by the time it gets to the part about immortals, you're like, okay, I'm on board with this. Can't be any weirder than what we've already seen,
And Sean Connery just chewing up every scene he's in.
Like you could tell, when he's in a movie he enjoys, and I think that was definitely one of them. Because you got a Mashamune Katana.
So I honestly think that we covered a lot of the biggies, other than maybe Top Gun.
Why, you want to go out and play with the boys?
No, I want to sing You've Lost That Loving Feeling, Matt.
R.I.P. Goose.
She's lost that loving feeling. Well, I was a big fan of Meg Ryan, so that did it for me.
And then, of course, Kenny Loggins.
Oh, yeah.
How many of you even now play Highway to the Danger Zone if you know you're going to be doing something kind of difficult?
I would have rather followed
something.
I would have rather followed Goose than Maverick, personally.
Well, Goose is more relatable.
Yeah.
But the 80s was like a decade of the big star power, the big, pretty boys. And Tom Cruise, I think, was at the height of his powers then, or at least close to.
Oh, yeah, he was. See, we talked about Top Gun, Big Trouble in Little China. We didn't talk about.
I was going to ask about that because
big fans of Jack Burton and the Pork Chop Express.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot of great lines in that movie.
And as cool as that movie is, I will freely admit I have not seen that movie since I was a sophomore in college. So I'm trying to remember some of the nice quotes.
Yeah, I think I'd have to look them up myself. But I just remember the him sitting there in the truck and talking to CB and saying, this is Jack Burton, on Pork Chop Express, talking to anybody who's listening. I probably muddled that line up there, but.
Now, I'd love to get some proper verification because I've heard rumors about this for years and years, but I'd heard that it was originally meant to be the sequel to Buckaroo Banzai. It was supposed to be Buckaroo Banzai versus the World Crime League, but then it didn't get made, so they retooled it into Big Trouble in Little China.
I could not confirm that.
I was going to say, if anyone out there can confirm or deny that, that'd be great. Because in Buckaroo Banzai's backstory, which got actually cut out of the movie and included in the novelization, and yes, I own the novelization, his big enemy was sort of a Lopan-esque figure that had been hunting him all his life. So,
well, that's very cool.
So yeah, I have to wonder.
All right. So yeah, if anybody knows, just tweet that to 80's Reboot. All right. Are there any other 86 movies that we need to cover?
Oh, Crocodile Dundee. Remember when that was a big...
Of course.
Well, Australia was a big thing in the 80s, wasn't it?
That's not a knife.
This is a knife.
That's a guy. Yeah, there were a lot of good lines in that movie, and yeah, I mean that guy. Drawing a blank on it. Paul
Hogan.
Paul Hogan. Thank you. Thank you. Gosh. He was like everywhere for a little while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like we had this weird thing with Australia in the 80s. Like you had Crocodile Dundee, you had Men at Work,
the Energizer.
Oh yeah, Jocko. Yeah. How did I? Oh, the only reason I know that is because my uncle liked those commercials and we watched them. But yeah, like Australia was like this new fun frontier, and then and Mad Max also came over around that time. So yeah, nice little fish out of water comedy. I always thought it was funny when he put the cocaine in the water.
Oh yeah, that's right. When he's like, "Oh, you got a nose problem." Oh, he's all stuffed up. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, a way the movie completely dates itself that shows the heroine, freely snorting cocaine. Apparently, everyone does that. So.
All right. So, any others that we need to talk about before we close?
That's why I think we need like a stream open because we need people like screaming ideas at us. I mean,
nobody's brought up Short Circuit.
Oh well, of course. Well, if we bring up Short Circuit, we're going to be here all night. So. Number 25.
Johnny Five is Alive, and then there was Little Shop of Horrors. It had my favorite dentist scene in it with Bill Murray.
Steve Martin.
Oh, Steve Martin was the dentist, but there was a scene where Bill Murray was like really into the pain.
Yeah, he was the masochist. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I for some reason I remember that the other day because my coworker was having some tooth problems, and he's like, nobody likes going to the dentist. I said, well, unless you're Bill Murray.
Did he get it?
He did.
Okay.
So, he knows I've been kind of like stuck in the 80s lately, so at least his mind went the right way. So.
And then Audrey 2.
Yep.
They tacked on the happy ending after a focus group didn't like the original one in the movie, and on the stage, Audrey 2 wins and eats everyone. and eats the world. So, but man, people didn't like that. So,
darn them.
I know. Would have made a nice little counterpoint of dark comedy, but that was a good cast too. I'm trying to. Rick Moranis, right? It was Rick Moranis as the main character.
Yep.
To IMDb.
Well, I was just going to say the other two big movies that we didn't mention were Pretty in Pink and Platoon, and it seems kind of weird to put those two together. I know, but. I just wanted to give them a shout out.
Now, in terms of war movies, I mean, like a lot of good sort of, those types of movies came out in the 80s. Where would you rank Platoon in comparison to, I don't know, later on, like, say, Full Metal Jacket?
I like Full Metal Jacket more.
Me too.
I like Platoon more. Platoon is more authentic to me than Full Metal Jacket was.
Oh, but why do you say that?
Because Stanley Kubrick never fought in a war.
That is true.
It was, it's hammering home this anti-violence message in Full Metal Jacket that I couldn't get behind.
So you feel Platoon's more visceral?
Yeah, Platoon's more visceral and it's more real than Full Metal Jacket was. To me. I mean, I like both movies, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, both movies are good. If I had to pick one over the other, I was going Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I don't disagree with anything Matt just said. I just prefer Full Metal Jacket, I guess.
Like from a casting standpoint, or
Yeah, and, what is it, R. Lee Ermey is the...
Yep.
He's just awesome.
Yeah, he is. As the drill sergeant.
Yep.
We're gonna wrap things up. Let's see, Nick, what do you gotta say to close us out for 1986?
I was gonna use my Labyrinth line, but no one seems to know it. So let's see. So I'll just say that I'm very disappointed at all of you tonight. And I'm going to have to rethink my position on this group here. I don't know.
I will say this about Labyrinth. Labyrinth introduced me to the real David Bowie. Because honestly, before Labyrinth came out, I hated David Bowie.
Really?
Yeah. I wasn't exposed to anything as, grew up on Red Shoes and all the stupid pop songs that he did.
Well, after Labyrinth, we were all exposed one way or the other to David Bowie.
Even though it is a little bit creepy that he was kind of falling for a teenager.
Yeah, Jennifer Connelly was like 15 then. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of young ladies of my age bracket who felt much the same way about David Bowie, but yes.
All right, Matt, close us out for 1986.
We are the princes of the universe.
Here we are, born to be kings.
Born to be kings.
All right, Tim, what do you have for us?
Forgot to mention another great 80s metal moment in movies was Jason Lives Friday the 13th Part 6 with Alice Cooper doing the theme song. It sounded more like kind of like an aerobics workout song.
Yeah, the 80s took the edge off a lot of, dark metal. But then again, it was Friday the 13th Part 6, and at that point, very few people actually cared.
Was it the Dream Warriors in 86?
Oh, that's Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 with Doc and totally different.
Yeah, was that in 86?
I think
it was that year before.
We're crossing the streams here for Friday the 13th movies.
Oh.
Close. Dream Warriors was 86 or 87. I don't remember offhand. I want to say 87.
That's when they realized that they could just pump out sequels to these horror franchises and people would watch them.
Yeah,
so.
It was one a year.
Yeah.
It's just like those Police Academy movies. Nobody wants to talk about Police Academy.
No,
whatever one we're on.
I was going to say that involves an entire show.
And I've got to end with a quote from Mr. Howard T. Duck. No one laughs at a master of quack fu.
And we didn't. We did not. No one did laugh at the master of quack fu.
That's it. No more Mr. Nice Duck. All right. With that, I really think that's a great way to close.
All right.
So it's been great reliving 1986 with you guys.
As always.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
We hope you've enjoyed this show. This podcast is part of the 80's Reboot Overdrive channel on Southgate Media Group. You can follow us on Facebook on the 80's Reboot group page. We're also on Twitter and Tumblr at 80's Reboot. We invite you to check out all the wonderful podcasts and blogs available at southgatemediagroup.com. And thank you for reliving the 80s.